Prime Minister Carney will be heading to Quebec City tomorrow for a cabinet retreat. He may field questions about his trip to Davos and his previous stop in China. Late last week, Carney agreed to allow 49,000 Chinese EVs into Canada with a tariff rate of 6.1%. It's a measure that had been in place before Ottawa put that 100% tariff on all Chinese EVs in 2024. In exchange for the deal, Carney says he expects China to lower tariffs on Canadian canola to 15% by March. This marks the Prime Minister's first deal on trade with another country since taking office last year. Well, last night we asked you to send in some of your questions about the EV deal, and we got lots of them. So we've invited Greg Layson to come in and answer them. He was on Cross Country Checkup on Sunday. Greg, you were fantastic answering questions there, so we thought we would do it again here on CBC News Network. You're an automotive journalist and digital and mobile editor with Automotive News Canada. So let's start with a question from Eric McNeil, and this actually reflected a theme of some other questions. It's kind of the basic one. What are the models and prices of the cars that will come in among the first 49,000? And he wonders how many will be available for Ontario.
Great questions. I'm as excited as your guests are, wondering what and which models and brands are coming. I would probably suggest the first Chinese brand you see is BYD, and the first model you see from BYD is the Dolphin. The Dolphin is for sale in Europe for $37,000 Canadian. It's for sale in Mexico at $32,000 Canadian. You can expect a price range somewhere in there. And Mark Carney has said at least half of these 49,000 moving forward have to be priced at $35,000 or less. BYD is the single biggest electric vehicle maker on the planet. They make quality products. These are subcompact cars, and they fit in the price range that Canadians are looking for.
Interesting. Jay Harvey, another viewer, writes this question. Will these Chinese-made vehicles meet all crash test and safety requirements to conform to Ministry of Transport requirements?
Transport Canada has the final say. They will be the ones doing what's called homologation. They will safety and review these vehicles, and they should be roadworthy and as safe as anything that you buy that is made in North America. That's Transport Canada's job, and that's what they're tasked to do. And they will also, I'm told, they will be held to account in making sure that they are safe and secure in terms of technology and cybersecurity.
And given that these cars are for sale and being used in Australia, for example, and Western Europe, I assume that's a pretty good indication that they're going to likely not have a problem meeting Canadian safety standards.
Yeah, one of the lines I heard from a Canadian dealer representative was, if it's good enough to drive on the Autobahn, it's good enough to drive on the highways and freeways in Canada. And I kind of seem to I agree with that. If they are safe enough to drive elsewhere, they're probably safe enough for our roads as well.
All right. Yeah, you talked about technology. Let me go to a question from David Selby Maley. He says, what are we doing to ensure that China is not using this budding EV industry in Canada as a means to spy on our population? And I should point out that question doesn't come out of left field. A lot of people are concerned about the technology that's embedded in these cars with cameras and, other ways that the vehicle can communicate with the mothership. How concerned should we be about that?
There should be some concern. Remember, every vehicle made today, whether it's made in North America or China, comes with LiDAR, radar, sensors, cameras, and microphones, and it's all collecting data. And it's all being updated and transferred through satellite over-the-air updates. The concern here is who is the end user on this. Most Chinese brands are backed by the Chinese government. So in the end, the Chinese government has some say in how that data is collected and used. So it's a concern. Poland, for example, just last week banned Chinese EVs from being within proximity of their military sites and installations because they're afraid that kind of sensor, those kind of data collection services within the car can map and sort of illustrate troop movement and geography around those sites.
Here's another question. Randall Sokolowski asks, where will the service locations be and how long will it take to build them?
This is a difficult question. So there are Hyundai Canada's former CEO, Don Romano, used to say, if you want to sell in Canada, you have to service in Canada. And so Tesla has some service centers around, and that's mainly who he was talking about. Now, these Chinese companies will want to come here and establish a dealer network or work with established dealers so that they would become sort of the distributors, and also those service bays and technicians and mechanics would work also on any of those Chinese brands. I can tell you that BYD was in Canada in 2024 looking to set up a dealer network of its own, but they walked away when the tariffs went in place. So BYD has a head start. They've already put out the feelers and dealers are interested. So it shouldn't be any different than taking your mainstream legacy automobile to the mainstream legacy auto dealership for work.
Okay, one last question from Al Horwood. Very specific one, but I know this is something that a lot of people will be thinking about. What charging system or network would they work on? Are there charging stations already in place across Canada that are compatible?
The entire industry in North America is moving to what's called the North American Charging Standard. That was invented by Tesla. It is used by Tesla. And all automakers are now allowed and have access to that Tesla charging network. And all of the vehicles are now being built with a standard charging port. And so the thought is all vehicles from China will also have that port or an adapter that would let you charge on that charging network. Most are using Tesla now.
Greg Layson is an automotive journalist and digital and mobile editor with the Automotive News Canada. Great having you on the show. Thank you.
Anytime, Ian.